be broken in pieces. When the truth comes out, when the truth comes out, you can run, but you know it's ending.
Well, hey, my little chicken nuggets. We are back. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it been? I have missed you guys. So I took off right before the 4th of July, went down to the lake. I've been gone for a little bit, got a little sun-kissed, feeling pretty good. But I got to tell you, it's been tough. It's been tough. We've had a lot happen, right? Since right before the 4th of July, it was pretty crazy. Felt like it was getting a little wild before the 4th of July because it was starting to get a little bit hostile with all of the boycott 4th of July and we're going to do, no Kings 2.0 and all that other stuff. And then the country is so divided, right? And then we had all these other people that are like, no, we're celebrating. I was one of those people. I'm like, no, we're celebrating. I'm still celebrating our independence because, this is where we're at, friends, right? So we're in a place of division. Is that correct? I would say that that's a pretty good assessment of where we're at. So this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at today. And I feel like we need to have a come to Jesus. Can we have a come to Jesus? Can this podcast be about a come to Jesus and talking about what the hell are we going to do now? Because where we're at is not okay. It's just not okay. So I was getting ready to come down here to start my podcast and I went to go get a little drink and it made me think because I have this big drawer, right? Do you guys have the drawer full of all the cups, the Stanleys, the cups, the mugs, all the things? Well, I have this one. So I grabbed the first one that I have. And on it, I forgot I bought this for my husband. It's so cute. It says, "We the people," right? It's got an American flag. I love this cup. This brings me back to the lake. But here's what I wanted to say about this. We the people. I was listening to all this chatter today on TikTok and social media and Facebook and all the things and people up in arms about the Texas floods. Now you have the floods taking place in New Mexico, up in arms about the Epstein list and all the things, which let me just say, disheartening to say the least. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. I'm going to be honest with you. There are so many people that are upset because they're like, and I feel like it was a little bit of gaslighting, a little bit of insensitivity, if you will, on the behalf of our president to be like, look, why are we still talking about this creep? Well, I think the reason that we're talking about this creep, and I think the reason people are still talking about Epstein is because although some people might think like, well, he's gone, he's dead and buried, doesn't matter. Did he unalive himself? Was he unalived? All the things, right? It doesn't matter because he's not here anymore, right? So what damage is he doing? The damage that Jeffrey Epstein did will go on for generations. That will be generational curses that will have to be broken and healed through extensive traumatic therapy, all kinds of things, right? To heal the young women that were completely assaulted and abused. And I speak into this with truth and I speak into it with love because I am someone that endured a very horrific childhood with extensive sexual assault from 3 different people from the age of 4 to the age of 15. And I'm just now in my 50s coming out on the other side of that and recognizing the wholeness of who I am as a person. But it took years to put back together the brokenness. So people want justice for that. Okay. That's why it's still important. But this is what I wanted to say about that. I don't know if their justice is going to come through the justice system, through Pam Bondi, through Dan Bongino, through Kash Patel, through Trump, the list and all the things. Let's just talk about this realistically for a minute, okay? At the end of the day, let's think about anything huge like this. Look at Diddy. This is a man that we literally just listened to a horrific court case. Like the videos, the audio videos will keep a person up at night. They're disgusting. They're disgusting. We saw video of him beating women, literally kicking them in the face and the stomach. Like we saw so much sexual assault, abuse, rape, all the things, physical assault, mental torment, all the things, and the guy's getting acquitted left and right, right? Is there justice there? Absolutely not. I think the deep state, and I think that the powers that be have so much control. And I'm going to tell you why they have control, because we, the people, have given it to them. Because for some reason, we think that we have to choose sides, right? Where we're all Democrat, we're all in, we're all liberal, or we're all conservative, we're all red, we're this way, we're leaning that way, we're leaning that way. all these other things. And then we're sitting back and we're waiting for them to take care of us. When have you ever felt, and listen, I need you to drop your defenses for a minute if you're going to watch this podcast. I need you to ask yourself, remove your party lines, remove the colors. I want you to sit here in grayscale, okay? Pretend we're in grayscale. There's no colors, there's no party lines, there's nothing. We're humanitarians right now. This is about being on the right side of humanity, not the right side of the line, right? Not the right side of the party line. I want you to dissect this for a minute, and I want you to ask yourself, when has your government, no matter who's the party in charge, let's think about it. Bill Clinton, did he ever really suffer consequences for completely taking advantage of Monica Lewinsky, a 22-year-old intern, that he was the powers that be who reigned over her? And definitely took advantage of his situation while he had her on her knees in the Oval Office? I don't think he's ever suffered any consequences for it. Did his wife suffer any consequences when she worked for the Attorney General's office and she was working behind the scenes, and she was the attorney that helped get the gentleman off that completely sexually assaulted a young woman back in the 70s and then laughed about it and said how she had no faith in the polygraph system because they all knew the guy did it, but he got off on a technicality. These people are about the system. They have failed to see that we, the people, are the ones that matter, but we actually have more power than we give ourselves credit for. And so we're all sitting back and we're like, well, we're waiting for all these people to take care of it. And you know what they're doing? They're living off of this. They're monetizing off of this. They like us divided. They like us arguing. They like us angry at one another. They all have an agenda that is being met by our division. Aren't you tired of that? I went to the we the people. For those of you that don't know, that phrase, we the people, comes from the Constitution. It's the first three words. Let me read this to you. We the people are the first three words of the preamble to the United States Constitution. These words signify that the power of the U.S. government originates from its citizens. The phrase emphasizes the concept of popular sovereignty, where the people hold the ultimate authority and legitimacy of the government. The phrase we the people asserts that the government's power is derived from the consent of the governed, not from a monarch or any other external authority. The opening statement establishes the fundamental principle that the Constitution is established by and for the people of the United States. If you think that because Trump is the president that we're in a monarchy or that he's like this king ruling over us, darlings, let me just tell you this. This has been going on for some time. They have been playing us like little puppeteers for a very long time. If you don't think Kamala was pulling your strings, you're lost. If you don't think Obama, Biden, all of them, you're lost. But we're so hell-bent on picking our party lines that we're not seeing one another anymore. If you go back and if you actually read the actual Constitution, it literally says, we the people of the United States in order to form or perfect, or I'm sorry, we the people of the United States in order to form or more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Look, this was supposed to be about us, we the people. And we were entrusting that we were voting and that we were putting these people in government positions to be advocates, right? There are advocates for the things that we the people are asking for. Some of the things that we're asking for are more from a Democratic point of view, more on the liberal side of things. Some are more on that's why bipartisanship is important. Critical thinking skills is important. Common ground is important. Common sense is important. Common decency. But when you think about what you saw this week with the Texas floods, in what way, shape, or form were we behaving like we the people? Like we the people. We were not coming together and looking out for one another as loving thy neighbor. There was so much hate. I came back from my trip and I filmed this podcast. I mean, not podcast. I filmed this TikTok. I had to immediately delete it the next morning. So I'm like, what the hell were you doing? I was totally agitated, completely pissed off. And I was like, F this, F that, because I was so mad because I saw this one TikTok of this one woman talking about, how are you Republicans swallowing that pill now? How do you feel about your babies dying? And like saying all this stuff, this horrific stuff about these children that died and about Texas being a red state and all this rhetoric. And I thought to myself, when was the paradigm shift that changed? And I'll tell you why. It hasn't always been like this, okay? And it's not a Trump thing. because we were like this during Biden. Because if you remember, the Hawaii fires happened during Biden. There's lots of things that happened during the Biden administration where we were still behaving like this. And listen, I'm not just picking on you Democrats. I mean, a lot of you came out like the wolves during this flood right now, but I'm telling you, I see it just as bad on the side when I see some crazy rhetoric from the far, far right. When you see a tragedy that has impacted a blue community, right? So here's what I wanted to say. In 2013, Moore, Oklahoma experienced a horrific F5 tornado. Okay, it was terrible. They actually experienced 2 tornadoes in 1 week. And this is why I say it hasn't always been this way. So I remember when this happened, and I was sitting on my couch. I was watching, it was late at night, and I'm watching it, and I thought to myself, I want to do something. Like, my heart was aching. I was watching all this news coverage, and I thought, what can I do? And normally in situations like this, I immediately would be like, I'll donate to the Red Cross. I'll donate to my local church. I'll find someone, someone I can sponsor. Of course, they always get my prayers and thoughts, and I believe that's important, contrary to what some of you may not think. I believe the power of prayer is instrumental. I just do. I'm a faith-bearing, God-fearing, faithful woman, and I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe when 2 or more gather in his name, his will be done. So here's the thing. For some reason, God was truly impressing upon me. Now, you have to know, my son was born in March of 2012. So when this happened, it was not that long. He was like 6 months old when this tornado hit. Okay. So he's still an infant. He's still little. And I'm like, well, what can I do, Lord? I feel like I have to do something. So I was praying about it. So the next morning I woke up and I'm like, I need to go. He's sending me. And if you've ever heard that song, Send Me, I Will Go, it's a Christian worship song. And it talks about, if you send me, Lord, I will go. And I felt this calling on my heart, like, send me, I will go. And I'm like, I don't know how much one person can do, but I will do it. And I remember waking up that morning, and at the time, I drove an Acura TSX. And I said, I'm going to fill this sucker with whatever I can, whatever's within the powers that be within me, and I'm just going to drive there. And I woke my mother up the next day, and I was like, Mom, I got to go to Moore, Oklahoma. And she's like, are you insane? You have a 6-month-old. And I'm like, I know, but I got to trust that the Lord is going to take care of Noah while I'm gone. And I was putting him in the care of my mother. And I was like, you guys will be okay. But I believe the Lord is sending me. I need to go, Mom. I got to go. And she was like, okay. And so I just put a little post up on my Facebook, and I said, hey, look, I really feel like the Lord is calling me to go to Moore, Oklahoma. Just so happened that a gentleman that I went to high school with now lived there. His wife was a softball coach, and his daughter went to school and knew children that went to the school that had been hit by this tornado, and children died. Okay. Children died at that school. And he was telling me about a family that was in dire need. And I said, done. We'll sponsor that family. Get me a list. Tell me what you need. So I started praying about it. I put this post up on my Facebook, and I'm like, okay, Lord, you do it. If you fill the car with 6 Gatorades, then that's what I'm driving out with. If you fill this car to the rim and I'm overflowing in the trunk, that's what I'm driving out with. So I'm going to wait a week, because a lot of influx comes in the first 48 hours in a tragedy. But it's always when the dust settles, just like with a funeral, right? Everybody goes home, the casseroles go away, and the people are left destitute and distraught and still in need. There's still need there. So I thought, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a week, and I'm going to see what the good Lord does in that week. And then whatever he does, I'm loading up this little sucker and I'm driving out there. So I put a post up on Facebook, and all of a sudden I had friends and family, and I said, hey, if you have any donations or anything that you would like for me to drive out there for you, I will do it. Now, I know a lot of my family thought that I was crazy, like a single mom, because by the way, I was a single mom. I had just given birth. My husband and I had gone through a divorce. He had moved to Mississippi, and I was on my own. And so I was leaving my baby. And I know it sounds insane, but I'm telling you, if the Lord calls you, go. He will cover everything else. If you think I love Noah, he loves him far more than I ever could. That's just the way I feel about it. And so all of a sudden I said, okay, well, donations. They're like, where can I bring donations? So I call my pastor and his wife, and I'm like, hey, can we drop donations off at the church? Can people leave them there? At the end of the week, I'll come and pick them up. Day 3 into this, I get a phone call, and they're like, Jen, you're going to need a bigger car. And when I tell you the amount of donations that were coming in, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to fit all this. What am I do with all of it? So I started praying about it. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I said I would be faithful to you. And I said that if this took place, I would drive all this out there. I was pretty broke at the time. And I'm like, if you want me to get a truck, I'll get a truck. If, the funds got to come in from somewhere. So anyways, people were donating financially to this family. People were donating, clothes, bikes, like all the things. By the way, the family that that I had sponsored didn't speak a word of English. I don't know if they were legal or not. And quite frankly, I don't give a shit. All I knew is it was a family that was in need. The mom was working. She was at 7-Eleven. Dad wasn't home. The kids were completely safe, but their home was gone. Their car was gone. Everything they owned, gone. It just got wiped out in this tornado. Okay. And so I was like, so they're starting from scratch. They have nothing. So the donations are coming in. Like when I say a house full of furniture, beds, frames, mattresses, all the things, enough money was coming in to cover their rent for multiple months to get them a new apartment. We got bikes for the kids. We got clothes for the kids. We got tons of supplies for the church. I had partnered with a church out there and I had been talking to their pastor. And I was like, look, I'm getting so many donations and it goes beyond the family of what the family needs are. I'm getting drinks and diapers and I worked for a dentist at the time. I had so much dental care coming in with toothbrushes, toothpaste, all the things, right? So all the things are coming. Then some of the women at my church started hearing about it and they're like, I want in. How can I help? So before you knew it, I had 3 other women that were coming alongside me. One of the women that came alongside me worked for a company called ServPro. Talked to her boss about it. He said, take one of our box trucks. So this was literally, I get goosebumps thinking about it. This was literally all coming together. And he says, yes, you can take it. Cause I'm like, I can't afford the insurance, all that. So they're like, nope, company paid for it, take it. Fill it up to the brim, whatever you can fill. And we were like, and Skippy, I'll do it. So we did. When I say we filled that sucker to the brim, okay, it was when you opened up the door, stuff was pouring out. And we got a great deal of financial assistance for this family, all these things. And so it was myself and these 3 women. I remember meeting at the church, a bunch of church members like laid their hands over us, prayed over our truck, prayed over us. And I was thinking, I prayed, I had been meeting with the church, told them that we had supplies. When we first got to Moore, we were going to go to this one family and we were going to take them everything that we had found for them. And then we would meet up at the church and drop off all the other supplies for the community that we had collected. As we were driving out there, okay, and I don't know if many of you know this story. As we were driving out there, all of a sudden, the sky turns this ugly green. And now you have to know, one tornado has already come through and annihilated this town. And the sky turns this ugly green. And we're just jamming out, listening to country music, driving through Oklahoma, doing our thing from Colorado. And our phones start blowing up. Everybody we know that loves us is calling us. Where are you girls? Because it was me and 3 other women, right? Where are you girls? And we're telling them where we are. And they're like, there's another tornado coming. And we're, sweet Jesus. And so we're like, oh my goodness. And if you've ever seen a tornado, and I've seen them in Colorado, when the sky gets that weird, creepy green, get out of the way, right? So anyways, we find a hotel. It was the only hotel on the way because the police officers closed the highway down. They were stopping people from coming through. So we had to pull over whether we liked it or not. We pull over, get to this hotel. There's like almost no rooms. The one room that they have is like at the top of the hotel. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we may as well just be in a box kite and just hang out and wait for it to come get us. And so I'm just like, what's better? Do we hang out in the box truck or do we hang out on like the 8th floor of this hotel? Needless to say, we took the one room that was left, which I have to say in tragedies like this, it makes me sad, but this hotel like totally gouged us and like charged us a ridiculous amount of money to stay for that one night, but they knew that they could because rooms were booked. So anyways, the money was provided. We were safe. We wake up the next morning, the tornado came through and it came through more again and wiped out more. So it's just like you're hearing about this flood in Texas, where one flood came through and you think you just start breathing and exhaling and another's on its way. And you see what's happening in New Mexico and you're like, Lord, I can't. And so we get back in the truck, we get back on our trip, we're heading out that way. We pull into Moore, Oklahoma. And when I say the devastation, what I witnessed, it's like nothing you've ever seen. It literally looks like a war zone. It's like a war. I can't explain it. You can't put words to it. And I've got some, I'm going to show you guys some photos here in just a second. So when we drive in, we're pulling into the town and I'm like, let's go to the church first and drop the supplies off at the back of the truck, like the Gatorades and the diapers and all that stuff. And the church that we had partnered with had this huge 10,000 square foot. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, by the way, we were called the Jesus Truck One. And friends of mine from Rhode Island, the gentleman who had lived there, whose wife was a coach in Oklahoma, had family in Rhode Island. So we partnered up with them, and they were making the same efforts we were. And this lady, Janice, her husband, he drove a big Mack truck. So they were getting their truck loaded up with supplies as well. So we had people coming from the East Coast. We had us coming from Colorado, all the things, because we connected with our one unified friend that we all had back in Rhode Island, right? That's how we got this whole ball rolling. So that truck's on the way, and we pull up to the church because I'm like, well, I'll just go in. We'll talk to the pastor and bring the supplies and find out where we need to unload them. They had this huge bubble that they had rented because everything had been wiped out. There were no buildings for storage or anything like that. So it was a 10,000 square foot inflatable building that was housing all the supplies that had come in throughout the week. Okay. So I want you to picture this. So when I drive up to the church, I drive in, and on the church stairs is literally the pastor with his head and his hands like this. And you could just see the heaviness. And I get out and I get connected with him and I talk to him, and like the tears just start falling. And everything that had been collected that entire first week of the devastation got wiped out by the second tornado. So it almost makes me want to cry thinking about it. Because you think to yourself, how in the world, how can this be happening, right? Not once, but twice. And I said, well, dear, help is on the way, because we had all these supplies in our truck. And then before you know it, Jesus Truck 2 was coming in, that we titled it, and it was a big Mack truck full. And so for me, I was like, this was one of the most we the people moments. Okay. We the people moments. We were the people. You were our people. The people of Moore were our people. The people in Rhode Island were our people. We were our people. We were taking care of one another. And so his face, the pastor, was just like, he just fell to his knees, because in his mind, he was like, how did I doubt you for 1 second? God, you are so faithful. We don't always get what we want, but you provide what we need. And so we started unloading all the supplies, which it was one of the most blessed moments of my life. Then we go on to meet this family. And I have to tell you, as we were driving through, let me just share this with you. Let me show you this. This right here, these are my two friends, Santina and Arlene, and they're walking down the street. And this is one of the neighborhoods that had just been ravaged. Okay. And they literally we just parked our truck in this neighborhood, and we were like, what do we do? Right. So when we got there, we were like, we don't know where to begin. We don't know what to do. And so as you see them walking down that street, we were just like, let's just get our hands dirty. We went to a Lowe's, we got gloves, we did all the things that we could do. As we were walking, the two girls that you saw walking down that street, when they were walking, we come across this woman who was sitting on her front porch, and we stopped and we started chatting with her. The insurance company had just left. And so FYI, just so you know how it works with insurance, is essentially, if you're not down to the studs, it's not considered full devastation, right? So when we're looking at this house, we're like, how can this not be a full loss? Like it was insane. There was nothing. There was no roof. It was gone. Half the house was gone. And so it had to be down to the studs. So we all looked at each other and we were like, we can get this sucker down to the studs. And so we, and the woman that owned the house, her husband was in the military, so he wasn't home. She was on her own managing all of this. We all took whatever we could find and decimated this house. We took all our anger, all our frustration, all our fears, all the things about the devastation that we were seeing and how sad it was making us. We threw it into destroying this house so that this woman could get a full loss and just get her insurance claim and all the things. And I probably shouldn't be talking about this because I'm talking about insurance stuff. But hey, anyways, we were the people, and we were going to be her people. We were her people in that moment. And so that was just one example. And then if you take a look at this. See if I can show you this. This picture here. There you go. That picture right there This here, these are all, when we were walking down that street, when I show you everything that's missing, these were all the crosses from the children that had passed away in that school. When you look at this was the school. It was completely decimated. You can see the little basketball court, and backpacks were hanging, and just all the things. And then, I mean, I could go on and on about this, but I guess my point and what I was trying to tell you is this was not my community. I didn't know any of these people, but they were my people. These were Americans. These were people that literally, like, I want you to see this. There's flags everywhere because we were Americans. We were people. We were one another. We were taking care of one another. When you see those two women walking down the street, can you tell which one is a Democrat and which one's a Republican, or either or independent? It didn't matter. We've lost sight of that. Coming into a tragedy like what happened in Texas, what happened in Kirk County, who cares? Who cares who the president is at this present moment? These people are broken. Their community is broken. They are devastated. Now, I am not saying there may not be a time and a place to sit down and talk about what could we have done different? What could have been prevented? What did we do wrong that contributed to this, not caused it? Because at the end of the day, people, no human being caused the flood. Okay, this is an act of God. This was a flood that it elevated to 30 feet in 26 to 40 minutes. There's no stopping that. Now, were there warning systems? Yes, there were warning systems. People were warned 12 hours before of flood warnings, and then they had flash flood warnings 3 hours before. But could there have been sirens? Could there have been a lot of things? And this is what I mean about the division. I heard people talking about, and I was even thinking about it myself this morning. I'm like, I've heard tornado sirens and I've ignored them. I've ignored them because I think I hear them all the time. I live, on the eastern side of I-25 in Colorado. You hear tornado stuff all the time. Sometimes we don't heed to the warning, but that doesn't mean you don't have the warning system in place. So are there things that may need to hopefully come out of this to avoid and prevent such a devastating tragedy to be at the extremity that it was? Maybe not such a loss of life. Can we prevent loss of life 100% solely, wholly? No. And here's the thing. Seeking and following the Lord does not mean that you are going to go through a life without tragedy, trials, pain, all the things. It's just that you're not going to go through it alone. You're not, and you shouldn't. And that's what happened in Moore, Oklahoma. We weren't going through it alone. I don't want the people in Texas going through this alone. I got an alert on my phone here telling me that the people in Johnstown, Colorado, the town that I was living in, Grace Community Church where I went, that the barbershop there is taking collection because they're going to be bringing supplies out. So immediately I'm going tomorrow morning and I'm going shopping. I'm going to load them up with whatever. I don't feel the Lord is calling me out to Texas, but he's calling these people. And so I'm going to help them load their truck. We the people. We the people. It's not we the Democrats. It's not we the Republicans. Those children have no political affiliation, and I don't care what their parents do. There were grandmas and grandpas camping at a campground with their grandchildren, and all four of them got swept away, and they still can't find the grandparents. And the parents were just up on the hill in a cabin. Can you imagine watching everything you know and love being swept away? Who gives a shit who they voted for? It's not relevant, people. It's not relevant. And so when we go back to the Constitution, so many of you have been talking about the Constitution with the whole immigration thing and all the things. Listen, I don't think we the people are going to overthrow the government. I'll tell you that right now. This is not about, hey, we have to go after the man. There's things that we can do from a legislative place, from going as constituents, going to our Congress people, writing letters, whatever we can do. When it's time to vote for whichever way you feel is the best consciously in your heart, one way or another. I'm not holding judgment against you, Republican or Democrat, however you vote, but I'm just saying, cast your vote, use the right that we've all fought for in the way to be voting, okay? Then you have to let the chips fall where they may for whoever's in the administration. But hoping and wishing for them to fail and the people that voted for them to fail, you're losing sight of we the people. You lost it. You lost sight of that. It was never supposed to be about Democrat and Republican, okay? It needs to be more bipartisan. It needs to be more unified. We are so divided right now that it makes my heart ache, like physically ache in such a way that sometimes makes it hard for me to breathe. And I remember going through, when I was looking at some of the photos that I have here, and I'm trying to find them. I genuinely wanted to share it with you. But there was a picture of a house at this tornado, and it said, God is with the broken, and we will praise you in the storm. And there was this little star at the school. And that's all I can do is praise him in this storm. And I'm not praising him for the storm. I'm not praising him for the loss of life. I'm praising him for the unity, for the people that come together to comfort one another, because tragedy is going to happen regardless. We'll never escape it. We are not going to escape this. But we have got to get back to a place to where we are loving on one another. We the people. We the people. We the people. You're my people. I don't care. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. And we have to stop pigeonholing people and saying, because you're a Republican or because you're conservative or because you voted for Trump, you're a racist. I had a guy say to me, because I said that I wasn't going to boycott, literally on Facebook. He went on this rant, on TikTok, and called me a white hood KKK bearing white privileged woman because I was still going to celebrate the 4th of July. And how could I do such a thing? And how could I celebrate this country? Here's the thing, people. This country has had so many other different people within its administration, but as a country and as a whole, this country is an amazing place for us to live. I am not saying that there's not some shit going down right now. I am not saying that there are not some things that are not troublesome, that don't make our hearts heavy. But at the end of the day, me as a woman, if I tried to do a podcast like this in Iran, I'd be stoned. If I tried to do anything like this in any other country, I'd be in trouble. I'm telling you. We have more freedoms than we give ourselves credit for. And we lose sight of that sometimes because we're so focused and hate driven for one human being or for an administration. We're not seeing one another. We're seeing policy. We're seeing agenda. We're seeing politics. We're seeing hate. We're seeing division. Divided we fall, friends. United we stand. United we stand. So what is it going to take to get us to be more united? What is it going to take to stop the hateful rhetoric? It's not helpful. Talking about having any pleasure in the loss of life and what happened in Texas because it was a red state. I saw a lady, she's very liberal. She's very open about it. And she came on here and she said, I sat and I waited all morning. I live in a very liberal state. She was talking about the area that she lives in, Rio Duso. I don't know if I'm saying that right, in New Mexico, where the floods are happening right now. And it's a very, very, very blue area. And she said, I waited all night and I waited all morning because I was waiting for the rhetoric about what's happening in New Mexico. Horses being swept down the river, houses being swept down the river, people not having enough warning. And she said, I wanted to see would I get the same rhetoric that the liberals have been giving to that red state of Texas. And she said, that's when I knew my heart, genuinely, I can't be in line of what the liberal Democratic Party stands for anymore. Because she said this was about loss of life in two totally different areas of the country. They vote very different. One is red, one is blue. But the rhetoric and the hate that came down on Texas because it's red was horrific. And all of a sudden, you don't hear about why aren't there any warning systems? Why isn't it the governor? Why isn't it the blue politician's fault for what's happening in New Mexico? Why aren't we talking about that? The level of hypocrisy is crazy. It's a level of division that is causing us to fall. Divided we fall, united we stand. I want to be with the people in New Mexico, regardless who I voted for. I want to support the people of Texas. And there's going to be other tragedies that come through this storm season. This is not the end of it, people. There's going to be a lot of it. So are we going to be we the people? Or are we going to be Democrats? Are we going to be Republicans? Are we going to be liberal? Are we going to be conservative, Christian, non-Christian, all the things? Where do you fall? Where does the line fall for you? Where do you draw the line in the sand? Because for me, I'm tired of it and I'm over it. And I would like to see some change. You know, I would love for you guys to follow me on TikTok. My TikTok is JennL124. I would love for us to start building a community. I have been saying this. This needs to be about community, not clicks, not follows, not likes, not brand deals, all that. I don't deal with all of that stuff. It's about how do we come together as a people? Because that was what was important to me when I started this journey back in December. I had like 147 people following me on TikTok, and we've gotten up to 33,000 people. And that doesn't seem like a lot when you know you've got influencers who have, millions of people. And, that'll probably never be something that I equate to. But the small community I'm building, can we be a community that's making a difference? Can we let go of the rhetoric? Can we stop that? I don't want to do that. It doesn't mean that I'm in line with everything that you're doing in the way that you're leaning, or that you're in line with everything and what, all the things that I believe. But can we have the conversation? We stopped talking. I don't want to do that, you guys. We're not having conversation anymore. I want to get back to we the people. I want to get back to, things like this, where you're seeing the American flag and people are just standing there praising, proud of this country. Can we get back to a place where we are proud of this country? Let go of what you're feeling about Donald Trump. It's not about him. You're giving him too much power. You're giving him too much power. You're giving the administration too much power. All your focus, we are pissed. We, the people, are pissed about the Epstein thing. We want the list, if there even is a list. But I'm telling you, I don't know that we're going to get it. We didn't get what we wanted about the JFK files. We didn't get the MLK files. I don't know if they'll ever let go of that, because when they do that, they're going to expose their friends and neighbors and the people that are funding them and all the things. I think the deep state goes pretty deep. And so that's why I don't rely on the government. I vote for where my heart leans in that one voting cycle. I wait for the next cycle. But in that 4-year interim, or the midterms, the 2 years, it's us. It's we the people. Can we get back to that? You're my people. I want to be yours. I hope you guys are feeling that this week. And I hope when you get through the rest of this week, you find a way to let go of the hate, let go of the rhetoric, and get to a place of say, how can I love on the people in Texas? How can I love on the people in New Mexico? Because here's the thing. All the people that were pulling out their Bibles with the whole immigration argument? Remember that? Because they wanted to use that love thy neighbor. Let's see. What does it say? What's the actual verse? Let me read it. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It talks about it. It's Matthew 22, 36 through 40, where they talk about it. And it says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as myself. He didn't just mean when it talked about your neighbor who's following your agenda. So Jen Hamiltons of the world, and the people on the liberal side of the fence, or the independent side of the fence, or the conservative side of the fence that has tried to use the Bible as a weapon to attack, how about you use it for what it was intended for, and that was to love. Love your neighbors in Texas. Love your neighbors in New Mexico. Love your neighbors in Colorado, in Illinois, in Rhode Island, wherever you're living. Your neighbors are still your neighbors. Stop asking people who they voted for. When we showed up to that woman's house in Moore, Oklahoma, and we were like, girl, we got you. We got you, girl. Don't you worry about it. Sorry, my battery's about to die. You know what we did? We were like, we got you. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is you need me. We got you. Let's do this. Can we do that? I got you. You got me? Let's see. Let's see what this week brings. I love you guys. JennX, truth be told, John 8:32. You shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free.